Hi guys, yesterday I read an article on For the Record, although I suppose technically it was 2 days ago by the time you're watching this, but it announced the September missions on the Russian server. Now, the missions on other servers like the EU and NA server, I don't know about the Southeast Asia server, so apologies, but usually the missions on other servers mirror what's happening on the Russian server. And the September monthly missions have been announced for the Russian server, and there are some pretty awesome rewards, as well as possibly getting and winning a lot of premium time for completing missions. There are also two very rare tanks that are going to be available for mission completion. Now the missions are very tough, and I'm not going to go into the parameters because while the prizes are usually similar across all the servers, the actual requirements for those missions do actually change, and the September missions have not been formally or officially announced for any of the servers other than the Russian servers. But what we do know is that the reward, or one of the rewards, because there are many rewards, is the Type 62. This is the Tier 7 Chinese light tank. It's a scout and it's pretty rare. In fact, I can only remember this thing appearing in the gift shop on the EU server 3 times. So I've had this tank for a long time. In fact, this was the very second premium tank I bought, and I used to love it. Absolutely used to love it. Unfortunately, the game has changed a little bit and the tank has been nerfed quite a bit since it was originally available. I don't quite agree with the nerfs, but I'll be going into that later on in this video. But basically, it's still a good tank. It is still a good tank, it's just not as good as it used to be. And because it's rare, it's worth maybe trying to get your hands on. So I'm going to be doing something special over the next few days. I did have other videos, they've already been made, they've already been uploaded, but I've decided to delay releasing them, and I'm sitting down after my stream from today, or yesterday, to make these videos. And the first one up today is a video showing the Type 62, because there's not a lot of Type 62 action on my channel. This is a great tank, and I'm just going to bring you a video showing you what you could potentially get as a prize for mission completion in September. Tomorrow's video is going to be a fantastic replay that has been sent in to me in the KV-220, another tank that is pretty rare, and that is also going to be available as a reward for completion of some missions in September. Now again, those missions are really tough, and I'm not quite sure what exactly, whether they're going to be the same requirements on the other servers as there are on the Russian server. But having said that, the Type 62 and the KV-220 are both really good tanks. They're both pretty rare and they are well worth having in your garage. So today you're going to get a Type 62 replay. Tomorrow you're going to get an absolutely amazing KV-220 replay, and then the day after that I was in the middle of another review for another Tier 5 tank, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to scrap that. Well, I'm not going to scrap it, I'm going to postpone it. So I'm actually now about halfway through, and is it worth it for the Type 62? So that's going to be available in a couple of days, and hopefully you guys will be able to see that before the September missions and be able to judge for yourselves whether it's going to be worth the effort to get this tank by going through all of those missions. But anyway, so that's something special. The next 3 days videos are all going to be based around the September missions, which technically haven't been announced yet, but if the prizes are the same as on the Russian server, please check them out. So here we go. We are on Lakeville, and I'm in the Type 62, and because I'm going to be reviewing this tank in a couple of days, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but essentially this is a stock WZ-131, the Tier 7 Chinese light tank. In fact, it's the same tank. The Type 62 is the WZ-131. It's the same tank, just it goes by 2 different names. The Type 62 is the official name. WZ-131 was the project name. So it's basically the same tank. It's a stock 131 with a slightly better gun than the stock gun on the 131, but basically it's not as good as a fully upgraded WZ-131, and but it's still an absolutely great tank, and I love it. So it's a pure scout. But it can damage deal. It is actually a pretty good damage dealer. The gun is 145 millimeters of penetration, which isn't great. That's the gun is the main difference between this and the WZ-131. The gun selection on the WZ-131 is much better, but 180 alpha damage with 145 millimeters of penetration is okay. The premium ammo gets 220 millimeters of penetration and 180 alpha damage. Again, the penetration is great, alpha damage not so good, but you can still deal damage in this tank. We are here on Lakeville, and we're just going to go. Now, the matchmaking for the Type 62 isn't great. In fact, this is a rare occasion where I'm in a Tier 8 game. Usually, what happens... Yeah, meeting of the scouts there. What usually happens in the Type 62 is I get into Tier 10 games, or maybe Tier 9 games. So getting into a Tier 8 game is a treat. So I'm going to be scouting at the beginning of this game. I'm moving forward into this bush. Gonna see if I can get some early spots, and there we go. We get an IS-3 spotted. Okay, another IS-3, there's a T-34, a T-29, we are getting lots of spots, but I'm passive scouting, I'm spotting for my team, I'm hoping my team can actually hit these guys, but my team don't seem to be able to, so I'm getting the spots, but I'm not getting any assistance damage. Okay, there we go, there are shots raining in now, and again I'm holding my fire because I don't want to get spotted and I'm passive scouting. So I'm so tempted to fire, but nope. Can't fire just yet. So most of the tanks have now gone into town. Very few tanks moving across, and now I figure it's time to fire. This guy is at the very edge of my view range, so we're just going to work on this Tiger. Now I do have a kill shot on this Tiger, but I decide not to take it because I've just discovered a Cheeto. A Cheeto appeared to my left. I missed out on a kill on that Tiger, and that's going to cost me in the end of the game. You'll see what I mean later. So I could have easily killed that Tiger. I was reloaded and I decided not to take the shot. So in the meantime, IS-3 is showing me the front of his tank and there's absolutely no point in me firing. But now he's turning. He's turning. Let's see if we can get a shot into his engine. So we do. We get one shot in and we track him. That Cheeto is not advancing, but Hellcat's now being spotted. I don't think I got that spot. But we're going into damage dealing mode now. I've done my scouting, now I'm damage dealing. So it's time to go and deal with this Cheeto. So get one shot into his cupola. Oh, an RT is being spotted. So we've got a T-43 who's being very aggressive. And that shot flies over the back of the S-51's engine deck. And now I'm being blocked. I risk a shot, but the T-43 kills Artie. I could have hit the T-43 there, actually, but it was worth it to try and get a shot on Artie. So I'm advancing. We've got tanks in town. Let's get rid of this Cheeto. He's taking fire. So get one shot into it. The front of him. Just need one more shot. There we go. We take him out for kill number 1. So I'm up to 1,000 damage already. And kill number 1, and I see a T-29 in the distance, and I didn't realize he was aiming for me. I didn't realize he was aiming. Took a shot into the fog of war. He hits me, but this T-43 on our team is an absolute hero. He has completely flanked the enemy team, so I've decided I'm going to go help him. And you can see the speed of this tank. It's 60 kilometers an hour, and it can easily reach 60 kilometers an hour, even though it's got the stock WZ-131 engine. So he's just going to work on this Churchill. I'm going to help him. And we've got the rear of all of these tanks. So I see an ELC, he's a one-hit kill. So there we go, there's kill number 2. This Churchill is putting fire into the T-43. Bounce on his gun mantlet, unfortunately. Aim for his cheek, take him out. Nice little kill steal there for kill number 3. Oh, back of a T-28 prototype, nice tier 8 tank, so we can just go to work. I'm trying to set him on fire by shooting into his engine deck, but he's showing me his side. We get another shot in, and he gets taken out. Risk a shot in the T-25 too and only managed to hit his gun. He reverses just as we fire, but the reload on this tank is good enough to kill him, and we're up to 4 kills. So now, again, I'm aiming at the engine on the Tiger P. I'm trying to set him on fire to get secondary damage. So we're just going to work, and you can see the rate of fire on this gun is pretty good. We fire a shot every, roughly just under every 5 seconds. 4.8 second reload. But there's kill number 5, and I'm up to 2k damage. And this tank is all about, like most light tanks, it's all about its speed, it's all about being able to move around the map quickly, being able to flank, being able to get shots into the side and rear of enemy tanks, because with this amount of penetration, the gun isn't that great, but it's still good enough to put shots into most tanks from the side and rear, and you've really got to use its maneuverability to be able to get your tank into position to get those shots. So as a scout, it's really, really good. It is a good tank, but by not having a Type 62, you're not missing out. Because as I say, it's basically just a WZ-131, and it's just a stock version of the WZ-131. So I run into that wreck because I was tunnel visioned on the T-29, but I decide, you know what, I've got plenty of hit points. Let's finish him off for kill number 6. There's my Top Gun. And I decide not to advance because those guys are probably waiting for me around the corner, so I move forward until I drop off radar, then change direction, and I'm going to try and do some flanking. So T-34 has just spotted me. I've crossed the gap, he's spotted me, so in third person I'm keeping an eye on him, and I notice he's pre-aiming this corner. So nothing I can do until someone else spots him and I can see which way his turret is facing. So okay, he's turned around, he's looking at someone else, so we pop out and we can go to work. So he is fired, I've got his reload beaten, I've got shots into his side. There's kill number 7, 1 enemy tank left, need 1 more kill for my Radleys. And I'm hoping to get the rear of this IS-3, and no, I've got his front. I tried to put a shot into the side of his beak. I'm not on premium ammo, unfortunately, and there's no way I'm going to be able to pen this guy, and it doesn't matter because he gets taken out by that hero in the T-43, who is still alive. But 7 kills in a scout. That's always fun. Some of them were kill steals, unfortunately, but I'm not complaining. So that was an ace tanker and a Top Gun. I'm a little bit annoyed I didn't get the Radleys. If I'd been able, if I just paused and shot that Tiger at the beginning of the game, it would have been a Radleys, but it wasn't to be. But still a really enjoyable game, and you can see that even though it's basically a stock WZ-131, the Type 62 can still do a job. As I say, for a long time it was probably one of my favorite tanks in the game. There have been a lot of nerfs, there have been a lot of changes to the tank, and I'll be covering that in the Is It Worth It the day after tomorrow, but it's still a decent tank, and it really is worth doing the September missions for this particular reward. So I came top with 1509 XP. Our T-43 had a really good game as well, but 1509 I really can't complain. Really nice amount of damage, almost 2.5k damage in a scout. That's always really nice. I fired 25 and hit 23. The gun is pretty accurate on the tank, but the penetration is lacking, so I basically bounced quite a few shots, only managed 18 penetrations. But I spotted 5, damaged 11, destroyed 7, and managed to do 1783 assistance damage, and that's what the scouting is all about. And it's a money maker, as long as you're not firing premium. I'll go into that in the review in more details, but this, if you're going to be firing premium in this tank, you're not going to make very much money at all. But if you're patient and you stick with the AP, it's a moneymaker. So I earned almost 79,000 credits for that one game. 2,263 XP. It wasn't my first game of the day because I decided I was going to play a few games in the tank in order to do an Is It Worth It for it. Some sort of special bonus going on at the moment, but I finished up with 2,828 XP. So there we go. That's part 1 of a 3-parter. all based on the rewards for the September missions. Type 62 is going to be a reward, and it's actually a pretty good tank. But I'm going to tell you a lot more about it when it's time for the Is It Worth It? So tomorrow there's going to be an amazing game in a KV220 that CJC sent in to me, and I'm going to use that opportunity to give you guys a look at another September mission reward. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.